Hey everyone, how's it going? So probably by the time you see this a few days ago, Madrybread uploaded a video on his channel trying to beat Pokémon Red with just an Oddish. Now I'm going to admit I did not watch most of the video because part of what I really like about these challenges is trying to come up with strategies, but I was curious how long it took him to beat the game, and I saw that he ended the game at level 87. To this point, only one Pokemon has exceeded that level, Pidgey, which in a lot of ways is the worst Pokemon I've ever done. So I was pretty confident that I could beat it, but only one way to find out. I'll put the theme song here. If I don't, then they'll cry. Alright, well the first thing we should talk about are Oddish's stats and move pool. Stats are decent for a first form Pokemon. Its special is middle of the pack just for standard Pokemon, base 75 is really good. Attack's pretty decent. Biggest problem I see is speed. Oddish is pretty slow, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with it stat-wise. Move pool-wise, it gets some really good moves. It also doesn't get a lot of different types of moves. And as we've seen in these challenges, not having access to various types of moves can be a huge impediment. So it's something we need to think about, but not right now. Right now, what we need to do is go defeat Brock. Or so you'd think, because we actually have an obstacle I almost never talk about, and that's going to become a bit of a recurring theme here. You see, Oddish has one move to start out with, Absorb. It's 20 base power and it's a grass move. Great against Brock, horrible against bug catchers using a Weedle. And unfortunately, every single bug catcher in the forest starts off with a Weedle, which it's double resisted, and you're basically doing 1 damage. You have to hope that Weedle uses String Shot a whole bunch, and you're probably actually going to run out of absorbs and have to rely on Struggle. It is a tedious mess, and I've done this fight about 5 times. I've won 3. So it's like a 50-50 shot for a long, tedious battle. But what other choice do we really have? It's not like leveling up in the forest would make a ton of sense, because everything, even Metapod, would resist Absorb, so I don't think it would actually save that much time. That said, I do think battling the Light Years trainer, which people have asked me that, he says you're a million light years from facing Brock. No one knows why he says it and it makes no sense, but that's why we call him the Light Years trainer. Anyhow, taking the extra 30 seconds to defeat him seemed fine, at least at the time. I would learn later that it wasn't so fine, but we'll get to that. For now, we have an extremely chill battle with Brock. Even if he does some damage to me, we absorb all our health back and can easily make it to Route 2, where once again, we have a little bit of issues here and there. We have some Weedle, we have Ekans, and Ekans in fact was a real nuisance because Ekans outspeeds me. And going through Oddish's move pool again, it doesn't learn another attacking move until a very long time from now. So if it just gets wrap after wrap after wrap, sure it should miss, but I lost quite a bit against the youngster because the Ekans just kept using wrap. Nonetheless, with patience I was able to make it through all these trainers and get to Mount Moon. Normally, here's where I say we headed to Cerulean City, but not today. Today, there is something that got in my way. Something that has given other Pokemon problems, but none as much as this Oddish. I introduce to you the Team Rocket Zubat. We still only have one attacking move, Absorb. A 20 base power grass move going up against a poison flying Pokemon. But unlike the Weedle, which knows Poison Sting, Zubat knows Leech Life. Normally not a problem. But it's 20 base power Bug type, and in Generation 1, Bug is super effective against both Grass and Poison. So it's dealing 4 times damage to me, plus it restores Zubat's health. So how in the world are we going to do this? Absorb clearly is not going to work. And sure, maybe I could just waste a bunch of power points, but at this point I do have other moves. 35 PowerPoint moves, like Poison Powder. It would take me a really long time of having to go find some more Metapod to waste all those power points, and I'd prefer not to have to do that. Although yes, relying on struggle probably would help, but I don't even know how much with leech life restoring power points. What I decided to do instead was to use Bide. Unfortunately, at my current level, it simply didn't work. First off, Zubat loves to spam Supersonic, and even though it misses about 50% of the time, it still uses it enough that it hits and you hit yourself in confusion. The rare times you actually do hit the Zubat, even if it hits you twice, if it hits you 3 times, you're going to be knocked out. If it hits you twice, you don't do enough to knock out the Zubat. I did win one. I won once. But I was watching Twitch because this was boring me, and I didn't realize there was some glitch that happened. Why did I deal that much damage? I don't know. But in case you're wondering, J-Rose, you should have reset there. Don't worry, I lost to the Super Nerd. Yeah, after all that, and of course I didn't save, so I had to go and battle, and by this point I kind of realized something was up. Like it registered that something was wrong. And as I was battling, I was thinking about what I was doing, and I realized I should never have done that much damage and knocked out the Zubat. It made no sense. And then I spent another about 5 minutes. Don't forget, I speed my game up 4 times. I tried to beat the Zubat, and I realized, you know what? I hate doing this, but it's time to take a page out of last run's playbook and level up more. I actually battled a bunch of other trainers, but there were some I skipped. Looks like it's time to not skip most trainers. So I'm not going to battle any other trainers in Viridian Forest just because they all have Weedle, so it would waste too much time. For the most part, I'm just going to battle some trainers in Mount Moon, like this Clefairy trainer that I skipped. In addition to battling any wild Geodude I find, hopefully I get more of them this time and I can make it to the rocket at a higher level. Honestly, it didn't help as much as I would have hoped, but eventually I was able to win after like 20 attempts, which is terrible. Now in this battle, we also had a weird glitch with Bide, but this time it hurt me, didn't help me. So I got hit by 2 Leech Lives after being hit by a Tail Whip from the Rattata, so I should have knocked out the Zubat. Instead I do next to nothing. So I decide just to go for Sleep Powder and Absorb. If I outsped Zubat, this would be easy, but I don't. So the only way this works is if I anticipate when the Zubat will wake up and use my second Sleep Powder at just the right time, which is what I do. That's really lucky, and the first Sleep Powder lasts a very long time. Slowly but surely, I was able to knock out the Zubat, and because I was at a higher level, I had Sleep Powder, which I did not last time. I'm going to be honest, this might be one of the most frustrated times I've had in a Pokemon run ever. It was so early on, I didn't really anticipate it being this difficult, and it just took forever. I've spent a combined 50 minutes just to get past the Zubat. To compare that in real time, the Mewtwo run was done. So, yeah. In-game time, it's not as bad, but it's craziness how long this actually took me. Anyway, now that we've beaten the Zubat, we can go and battle Misty, who should be extremely easy. Misty has good AI, meaning she cannot use her water moves, despite the fact I believe, even though they're not very effective, they would do more damage, especially Bubble Beam by Starmie. So I can easily just use Absorb, restore my HP. I'm at a decent level anyway. I actually out-level the Starmie. And beating her is just simply a matter of using enough Absorbs. Nothing really too difficult. As for Rival 2, I actually did not mean to win this battle. I actually wanted to record a loss to show you why this wouldn't work, but it did. Essentially, if I had leveled up just a little bit more, I would be at level 24 and I would get Acid, which would do far more damage to Pidgeotto. Instead, I have to rely on Absorb that's just doing 2 damage, and Sleep Powder to make sure the Pidgeotto doesn't lower my accuracy and or attack me. I honestly didn't anticipate this working as well as it did, and once the Pidgeotto was knocked out, I knew I had a pretty good chance of winning. Now, once I get to Abra, I realized that I probably shouldn't use Absorb as much, but it's going to take so long. It would take 16 turns to knock it out with Poison Powder, but I might run out for Charmander, which would be a concern, and I have to rely on Bide. Another reason why I wanted to use the Rare Candy and just use Acid, but I do end up knocking out the Abra. Rattata only takes 2 Absorbs, And I use Sleep Powder Absorb strats on Charmander, and as I predicted, I do run out of power points. So I have to go for Bide, and thankfully Charmander cooperates really well, going for just one Ember and a Scratch. That's more than enough to knock it out. Like I said at the beginning, I wasn't actually trying to win this. I wanted to show why without Acid this wouldn't work, but it did work. And it didn't even result in a net positive for me because I had to use a Rare Candy and use Acid anyway. I still have a long way to go to level 24, and without Acid, Nugget Bridge takes like 5 years because there are Weedle and Nidoran, etc. And Acid does way more damage, even if it's resisted, than Absorb. So, yeah, I mean, a win's a win. We use a Rare Candy, that's really annoying, but finally we have access to a move that isn't Absorb, and that deals damage. Pretty awesome. So after we get to Bill's house and get the SS ticket, we can go to the SS Anne. Unfortunately, Oddish does not learn Body Slam. That would have been amazing. But alas, it's just not meant to be. Unlike a lot of times, Rival 3 isn't free, and in fact, it took me many attempts to beat him. The reason is, now he has a Kadabra as opposed to an Abra, and all his Pokemon outspeed me, so even though I have Acid for the Pidgeotto, it can still get off a Sand Attack. And even if it doesn't, the Raticate and the Kadabra can slowly whittle down my HP, and by the time I get to Charmeleon, I get knocked out. Essentially, the strat is to just get lucky, because I don't outspeed anything. Oddish is definitely one of the slowest Pokemon I've used, and unlike Geodude, that resists a lot of stuff, Oddish doesn't resist anything. In fact, it is weak to, well, in theory 3, but in practice just 2, Kadabra and Charmeleon, because in Gen 1 Gust is normal. If it was flying, man, this would be a really tough battle. You'll notice in the successful battle, I put Raticate to sleep and use Absorb. This is trying to get as much HP as possible for the Kadabra. The Kadabra does use Confusion. Getting 2 teleports would be ideal, but we can deal with 1 Confusion. And then with Charmeleon, I decide to put it to sleep, and thankfully it stays asleep the entire time, and I'm able to knock it out with Acid. But it's not very often that Rival 3 poses much of a problem, and I think it goes to show you just how difficult it is to use a Pokemon like Oddish. There really isn't a whole lot I can do. Body Slam would have definitely helped here if I had access to it. It actually would have done more damage, even though it's not same type. Plus, you had that paralysis effect, so a huge disadvantage Oddish doesn't have access, but it is what it is. That said, Ensign Surge is still going to be pretty terrible. I mean, I'm a grass Pokemon, he is electric Pokemon. Acid 2-shots Voltorb, which is pretty good. It 1-shots Pikachu, which isn't too surprising. And for Raichu, once again, I go for Sleep Powder just for safety. Unfortunately, it goes for Growl, which will just make this take longer. I test out Absorb, and Acid is still doing more damage, even though I have 1 attack drop. But Raichu cooperates, doesn't wake up too quickly. I'm able to knock it out and get my 3rd gym badge. This has thus far been a pretty frustrating run. Thankfully, that doesn't continue into Rock Tunnel because I just match up well against all the Pokemon here, and we can make it to Celadon. As per usual, I go to the Rocket Hideout first. I actually have to battle another Zubat here, and it went pretty well. After I knock out this Raticate, I get Acid, I get confused by Supersonic, and I get a critical hit. If this didn't work, I would have bought Takedown from the Pokemart, which Oddish can learn. Probably would have one-shot, but I have good news. After you defeat him, you can go to the 3rd floor and get Double Edge, which is base 100 power. Does deal recoil damage, but it's going to be doing far more than either Acid or Absorb. Having said that, by the time we get to Giovanni, we actually don't have Absorb anymore. We will teach Petal Dance. Now, Petal Dance is base 70 power, and that's awesome. And 1 move will last 3 to 4 turns, which is great for power points. However, at the end of that, you're going to get confused. And being confused really, really sucks. So it's something we have to deal with. Thankfully, not in this battle. I get a 4-turn Petal Dance, so I'm able to knock out all of Giovanni's Pokemon. But for that reason, I'm not going to use Petal Dance very much at all, unless I have to. Now, after Giovanni, we typically just destroy Rival 4. That's not going to happen. And the reason is, this is actually kind of my fault, and I did this in a bad order, but I'll explain anyway. The biggest issue with Rival 4 is that Double Edge is the best move you can use. Right now, I have Sleep Powder, Double Edge, Acid, and Petal Dance. Petal Dance causes confusion, so using that is bad. Acid's base 40 power, so it doesn't do enough damage, and Double Edge deals a ton in recoil. Ideally, I would defeat Erica first next time and get Mega Drain, because that would allow me to restore my HP. Without it, I need to get a little bit of luck because Gyarados can just use Dragon Rage, and yeah. So after losing, and I'm not kidding, 5 times, I think that was the 4th loss, I realized, oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? What a terrible run. Let's just go battle Erica. And Erica is a joke because Victory Bell's good AI thinks Poison Powder is super effective against me, so it's just going to keep spamming Poison Powder. Tangela is already terrible in red and blue. It can't do anything. And then Vileplume is the exact same story as Victory Bell. It's just going to spam Poison Powder. And with that, I'm going to reset, and I'll explain to you why it's using Poison Powder in a second. But first off, why did I reset? Simple answer. These trainers are going to be extremely easy to beat, and I am having a lot of trouble with everything right now. These trainers have decently high-level Pokemon that I can knock out fairly quickly, and after I defeat Erica, you cannot battle any of them. I have made this mistake in runs where I've overestimated my Pokemon. I'm not going to do that here, so I'm going to battle all the trainers in Erica's gym first, gain some valuable experience points, and then we can just rebattle Erica. As we rebattle Erica, let me explain why she's using Poison Powder. So in Generation 1, they tried to make opponents use the best possible move. Oddish is classified in the game as a grass type as opposed to grass poison, and there's a reason for that I'm not going to get into. But Erica thinks, great, it's a grass type, poison equals super effective against grass, I should use a poison move. Unfortunately, 2 things. 1, it wouldn't even be super effective, but 2, her poison move is Poison Powder, which deals no damage. This is what's known as good AI, and it's extremely, extremely broken. So much so that this mechanic, which was supposed to make certain trainers harder, is actually taken away from various gym leaders in yellow because it actually makes them better for them just to attack randomly, which is what the rest of the trainers in the game do. So, funny thing. Anyway, now that we've beaten Erica and leveled up a bit, we should easily be able to beat Rival 4, but we aren't. And the reason is I was trying to do it once again without Mega Drain because I had a strategy in mind that wouldn't have even worked anyway, but it would have required me to delay teaching Mega Drain. And the exact same problem that happened before is still happening. Without Mega Drain, there just simply isn't a way for your HP not to be whittled down if Gyarados doesn't cooperate. In this battle, Gyarados happens to use Bite, and I'm able to put it to sleep. So I'm at 56 HP, Kadabra uses Teleport, and thankfully I'm able to put Charmeleon to sleep. I don't have enough HP to use Double Edge, but I'm able to keep it asleep while I use Acid and win. Had I Mega Drain, I could have just Mega Drained against Gyarados, had a lot more HP, and it would have made Charmeleon much easier. But, like I said, there was a strategy I wanted to use which would have delayed when I taught Mega Drain, and I ended up having to abandon it anyway. Regardless, I don't think I've lost 10 times to Rival 4 between the rest of the 40-something runs I've done to this point. Oddish is definitely been a unique Pokemon. And on that note, would you believe that Koga ended up being easier than Rival 4? Because he was. And that's simply because after you defeat the Rockets in the Pokemon Tower, you can go to Silph Company and pick up Swords Dance. And now we're going to battle Koga with Swords Dance. The strategy I have is simple. Put Coughing number 1 to sleep, set up all 3 Swords Dance, and use Double Edge to sweep through Koga's team. Unfortunately, if you do that, it doesn't work. And the reason is, as you're about to see, by the time you knock out Coughing number 2, your HP is so low you can't even attack the Weezing, let alone one-shot it without getting knocked out yourself, which is a loss. So I try to go for Petal Dance, and even though it's a special move, it does next to nothing against Weezing. Now, if I had Acid, this would be easier, but I don't. I had to delete that for Swords Dance, and I still want Sleep Powder. So you can use Petal Dance against the Coughing, and theoretically, if you had really good Confusion luck, that would work. Unfortunately, in practice, that's very difficult, and since my attack is so high, if you hit yourself in Confusion after using 3 Swords Dance, you're done anyway. The whole point of using Petal Dance early was to have enough HP to be able to use Double Edge That didn't work, so I had to use Mega Drain, which I should have done against Rival 4, and once I did, the battle went like this. So it's going to start off the exact same way as the first battle, putting the first Coughing to sleep. I thought of using Mega Drain to knock it out, realized that would take too long, so I just used Double Edge. I then put the Muck to sleep. This is so I can use a couple Mega Drains, restore the HP I lost versus Coughing, and then knock out the Muck with Double Edge. I try to do the same thing with the second Coughing. I misclick twice. First I try to use Swords Dance, then I accidentally use Double Edge, and I realize, well, I should have enough HP anyway. And as it turns out, I do after the first Double Edge. Wheezing doesn't use Self-Destruct, it uses Smog, and I even have enough HP after the second Double Edge. So this ended up being a first try victory with Mega Drain, and you can see how important Mega Drain is going to be when my main attacking move does recoil damage. I need a safe way to reliably restore my HP, and Mega Drain being same type and base 40 power isn't great, but it's good enough. It's a good combination move, and for at least the foreseeable future, my moveset of Swords Dance, Sleep Powder, Mega Drain, and Double Edge seems to be the way to go. Now that we've beaten Koga, I've decided to battle Rival 5 next. I think he's going to be the easiest of the trainers I have remaining. I'm going to use somewhat a similar strategy to Koga, except this time Pidgeot's a little more scary, but I can put it to sleep. Hopefully it stays asleep while I set up all 3 of my Swords Dance to max out my attack. Thankfully, Pidgeot cooperates with me and I'm able to one-shot with Double Edge. Execute, we're going to use the same strategy we used versus Coughing. Put it to sleep, slowly use Mega Drain to gain back HP. Once it wakes up, however, I need to use Double Edge, and I'm left at about half HP, which isn't going to be good enough. Gyarados outspeeds and goes for Dragon Rage, so even under ideal circumstances, I'm probably going to be at half HP for the last 2 Pokemon. Mega Drain is doing pretty decent damage, and my HP is slowly climbing back up. I'm actually surprised how long the Gyarados has stayed asleep. And if it woke up, that would be bad because it outspeeds me and it could use another Dragon Rage. But it stays asleep long enough, and I make it to the Alakazam with 75 HP. But we know Alakazam is going to outspeed me. It goes for Confusion. I would say that critical hit mattered, but it actually didn't. I wouldn't have had enough HP to knock out Alakazam, and even if I did, I wouldn't have had enough HP to knock out Charizard, and I don't have any more Mega Drains. So there's only one solution when this kind of thing happens: level up. We have a ton of rare candies. I'm actually going to battle a couple trainers in Sylph Company to get my level even higher, because again, I can kind of see this is going to get very difficult. This is one of the first challenges we've had in a while where our speed is so bad, even after using things like the badge boost glitch, which wasn't happening in this battle because I leveled up so early. But even still, we're not going to have enough speed, probably, to get past Alakazam without taking a hit, which is a problem. So after using all my rare candies and leveling up, I battle Rival 5 for the first time. I'm going to do the Sleep Powder Swords Dance thing once again, and hope Pidgeot stays asleep. Thankfully, once again, it does stay asleep, and I can knock it out. Execute, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. Because we're at a higher level, we're dealing more damage with Mega Drain, and we're able to knock out the Execute at nearly full health. Alright, against Gyarados, something seemingly weird happens. We're outspeeding it even though we should have way less speed. So we're able to put it to sleep. What's going on here is the badge boost glitch, and I have it in every description of my videos going forward. Alright, after we knock out Gyarados, Alakazam goes for Confusion, and I should note, I am not getting boosts in Special. You don't get that till you defeat Blaine. But I'm still able to knock out Alakazam, and as long as I outspeed Charizard, we win. We don't. It goes for Ember. This is going to be close. We win. Just enough. 7 HP after recoil damage. I mean, the fact Charizard is still using Ember at level 40 is kind of silly, but it is what it is. After we defeat Charizard, we can go on to battle Giovanni number 2, and here's where I need to think about something. I'm a poison Pokemon. Sabrina's psychic Pokemon are going to be very bad for me. I'm a grass Pokemon. Blaine's fire Pokemon are going to be very bad for me, and those are my 2 options. Which one do I take? If only they would be as easy as Giovanni number 2 is, that would be nice, but we know that's not going to be the case. Well, Sabrina's Pokemon are lower leveled, so let's try her first, I guess. She sends out Kadabra, it goes for Psychic, and I'm going to start setting up Swords Dance. Unfortunately, even after 2, it's still outspeeding me and knocking me out. I'll try one more time, but I have a pretty good idea that this was the mistake here. And yeah, Psybeam, I'm going to be almost half health. I'm going to use 3 Swords Dance, And I do outspeed, but I miss. It knocks me out. All right, let's just try Blaine. So Blaine starts off pretty good, actually. We are able to outspeed the Growlithe at our level. We can put it to sleep eventually and set up Swords Dance. I've lost a bunch of HP, so I can gain it back using Mega Drain. But the Growlithe is not going to be the problem, nor is the Ponyta. The problem is the Rapidash, because it outspeeds, it goes for Fire Spin, and although it has a 30% chance of missing, if it just connects hit after hit after hit, which it did a lot, you just lose. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're done. You can't attack. You have no opportunity. After like 8 attempts of Rapidash just not missing with Fire Spin, I finally get an attempt. I actually make another mistake with a misclick, and that tends to happen when I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I get really bored, and I just start hitting buttons randomly because I'm just paying attention to something else. But finally, after hitting with the first Fire Spin, he goes for a Super Potion full health. I knock it out, and Arcanine comes out, uses Ember, and I lose. So not only do I need Rapidash not to use Fire Spin, but I need to have enough HP that I can tank an attack from Arcanine to put it to sleep so I can beat it too. Goodness. So after 6 attempts of it never missing a Fire Spin, Blaine should seriously buy some lottery tickets. Eventually, we have to get by the first few Pokemon first, so I have to hype it up a little bit. You obviously know I'm going to get past the Rapidash. Why would I be showing this battle otherwise? But yes, Fire Spin misses, and this is as good as we're going to get HP-wise making it to Arcanine. For the record, I don't even need the first one to miss. Pretty much any of the first 3 would be fine. Thankfully, Arcanine uses Ember, not Fire Blast. I'm able to put it to sleep. I didn't know if Double Edge would one-shot. I use it, and as it turns out, it did one-shot. So in fact, I was pretty risky there. 25% chance Sleep Powder misses. Should have just gone for Double Edge. I thought maybe it would survive. I don't know. Arcanine is pretty bulky. I'm an Oddish. I wasn't sure. But in beating Blaine, we accomplished 2 things. We get the 7th Gym Badge, or the 6th for us. And now when we use Swords Dance, which we would need anyway, we gain some special. And with those special boosts, maybe Sabrina will be easier. We're also at a bit of a higher level. She's literally the only trainer I need to beat at this point, so we don't have much of a choice here. Alright, so we need to put the Kadabra to sleep, and it can just use Psychic and crit and knock me out. So that's what we're dealing with here. Hooray. But in the very next attempt, it uses Psychic and doesn't crit, and I'm able to put it to sleep. Now, thankfully, after not 1, not 2, but 3 Swords Dance, I'm actually able to outspeed Kadabra. I can gain some HP back, which is important. And Mega Drain does half, so I can actually use 2 Mega Drains and knock out the Kadabra without worrying about getting damaged too much. I put Mr. Mime to sleep because I can't use Mega Drain against Venomoth, so I need enough HP for both Venomoth and Alakazam, who I probably won't outspeed. Thankfully, we're going to be at full HP for Venomoth, so that's pretty good. Unfortunately, we level up, which cancels out the badge boost, meaning we don't have extra special, we don't have extra speed, we still have all our attack, so we're not going to take too much damage from Psybeam, since Venomoth isn't a Psychic Pokemon and we're at a higher level. We are obviously going to one-shot with Double Edge, so it all comes down to Alakazam. It can use Psywave, which it does, and it misses, and we knock it out. Truth is, I could have battled some trainers in Sabrina's gym so that I wouldn't level up in the middle of the battle, and that probably would mean not only would we one-shot Venomoth without it attacking me, but pretty much nothing Alakazam could do other than getting a crit would have knocked me out. I didn't really care. I don't want to level up anymore. This run has been incredibly frustrating. That said, Giovanni should be pretty good. I'm going to put Rhyhorn to sleep just for safety so I can use all my Swords Dance and have as much attack as I need, because most of Giovanni's Pokemon are actually not weak to Mega Drain. I actually forgot 1 Swords Dance, so by the time I get to Nidoqueen, I'm going to put it to sleep and use the last one, but it's really not going to matter. I don't even know why I'm doing much commentary for this battle. By the time we knock out the Rhydon, we're going to be at full HP, even though we didn't start at full HP. Giovanni just simply is way too easy for this strategy, and that's probably the last time I'm going to say that, because now we have to go and battle Rival 6 in the Elite Four, and we've already struggled with Rivals 3, 4, and 5. So Rival 6, who is almost always difficult, yeah, I'm sure this will be easy as heck. Of course. Just like in the Rival 5 battle, it uses Wing Attack, doesn't do too much, thankfully base 35 power attack, I put it to sleep. Now, it's a little concerning that as I am gaining speed by using Swords Dance, I'm still not able to outspeed the Pidgeot, and after 3, it wakes up, and I'm still not outspeeding. Thankfully, Agility is classified as a Psychic move, and I am a Poison Pokemon, so it uses that instead, and I'm able to put the Pidgeot to sleep. I think I miscounted my Swords Dance because I used a 4th one, and then I realized just use Double Edge, which I should have done anyway. All good. No harm, no foul. We are at half HP, but we have a Rhyhorn coming up. We're going to use Mega Drain, and now we're at way more. Nearly full HP, which is good. Execute can either use Hypnosis or Poison Powder. It goes for Poison Powder after I miss with Sleep Powder. I realize it's going to one-shot. What are you doing? And I just knock it out with Double Edge. I'm not sure what I was doing there. Now, Gyarados I want to put to sleep because I want to use Mega Drain because I want enough HP to use Double Edge against the final 2 Pokemon. Unfortunately, it doesn't cooperate with me, and even after I put it to sleep, it wakes up immediately. Thankfully, I'm able to put it right back to sleep, and it stays asleep so I can use Mega Drain to not just gain back all my HP, but knock it out as well, leaving just the Alakazam and the Charizard. I'm at full HP. Assuming they don't do anything too bad, I should win. However, this is when things go awry. I level up, meaning I have no more special boosts, no more speed boosts. Alakazam comes out, uses Psychic. I do survive, which is good, but my Double Edge knocks me out. So I don't even make it to Charizard. Alright, we need to make sure we don't level up in the middle of this battle. Rather than waste one of my few precious rare candies, I'm going to go to the route north of Cinnabar and just battle some of the swimmers there. Gain the experience I need because I don't need that much, and this way I shouldn't level up until after I defeat the Charizard, which means I will have the additional speed and special boosts throughout the entire battle. Alright, so I'm going to go battle Rival 6 again, and I don't really want to commentate until we get to Alakazam, because as you're going to see, the battle goes pretty much identically to the way it went last time. Not exactly, there are some small differences, but overall the result is exactly the same, making it to Alakazam at full HP. This time, however, Alakazam, rather than attacking me, goes for Reflect, and even with that Reflect having my damage, with the maxed out attack from Sword Dance and its terrible defense, I'm able to one-shot at 120 HP. As it turns out, Charizard is still able to outspeed me. There's the Flamethrower I was worried about before, but there's no problem where... Are you kidding me? I don't think you guys understand what just... I don't think you understand what just happened here. Oh my god, let me explain this to you. Oddish has base 30 speed, one of the worst in the entire game. Divide that by 512, you get approximately a 6% chance of getting a critical hit, which we got. In addition to that, in Generation 1, critical hits ignore your stat gains. So all those Swords Dances I used got ignored, which is why I did next to nothing against Charizard, and it was able to knock me out. So I basically got a 6% chance that I could lose the battle, and I lost the battle. Amazing. It took me a few more attempts to get back here, because at the end of the day, the Pidgeot or the Gyarados can deal too much damage, and then you won't have enough HP to use Double Edge against both Alakazam and Charizard. But thankfully, even if things start out kind of poorly, you do have many opportunities to use Mega Drain and gain all your HP back, which is a really good reason why I have Mega Drain as opposed to Petal Dance. And with that said, in this attempt, we do make it all the way back to Alakazam. It goes for Reflect, which is pretty good, and as it turns out, kind of necessary, because I didn't realize this, after the Flamethrower, we use Double Edge and we win, but with only 17 HP to spare. Meaning we basically have a 1 in 4 chance of getting by this battle. This late in the game with a Pokemon like Oddish, I don't mind something like that, but it definitely is pretty lucky that I've gotten so many attempts where the Alakazam uses Reflect. Regardless, this type of luckiness will not help me much against the Elite Four because we don't save in between battles. With that said, no time to start our runs like the present. Let's talk about Laurelie. So as the Ice type Elite Four member, you might think she'd be difficult, but she actually is pretty okay. We do take an Aurora Beam, but we can put her Dugong to sleep, set up all 3 Swords Dance, and then use Mega Drain to not only knock out Dugong, but to regain most of our HP. Then the Cloyster comes out, and Cloyster is almost a one-hit KO. But it's not. It uses Aurora Beam, and you might think that's a problem. It's not, because Slowbro can't actually do any damage to us. As a poison Pokemon, Slowbro has one psychic move, Amnesia, which would be bad if it could attack us, which it can't. So we can gain all the HP back that we want with Mega Drain, and we can use Double Edge if we want to knock it out. Jinx will outspeed us, but as long as it doesn't freeze us, we should be fine, because with Badge Boost, we do outspeed Lapras. We have a 3 in 4 chance of putting it to sleep, and we can knock it out with a combination of Mega Drain and Double Edge. This is a good sign. It doesn't seem like we need much luck to beat Laura Lee, and this should be very, very consistent. Of course, assuming you get the sleep powder, so about 75% consistent. As for Bruno, Bruno is going to be a joke. An absolute joke. In future runs, you might see me make a bit of a mistake in putting Onix to sleep. I say that because Onix is so weak, it really doesn't need to be put to sleep. It can do nothing. That doesn't take away from the fact we just have to set up 3 Swords Dance, use Mega Drain against Onix, use Double Edge against Hitmonchan, use Double Edge against Hitmonlee, who we outspeed by the way, use Mega Drain against Onix, and then use Double Edge against Machamp. Every single Pokemon a 1-hit KO, nothing any of them can really do, and here is where I got stalled for an hour. An hour! This attempt, I don't even do anything. The first Gengar just puts me to sleep, uses Dream Eater, which is super effective, and that's it. I lose. So I have to find another attempt to show you what I'm trying to do, and I got some of the worst luck I've ever gotten in my life in Pokemon. So here's my second attempt at Agatha. My plan is to use 3 Swords Dance and use Mega Drain, even though it is resisted by the poison typing. Hopefully after 3 Swords Dance, it'll do enough damage that I can use it to knock out all 3 of the Gengar. Don't know why I thought that would work, but I don't even get a Mega Drain off. Finally, in my third attempt, I'm able to put Gengar to sleep using Sleep Powder, get up my Swords Dance, use Mega Drain, and yeah, I don't have enough power points to use that to knock out all 3 of her ghost Pokemon. Not sure why I thought it would do more than this, but it's not. And here's where I have a conundrum, because obviously this isn't going to work. But here's the issue. There are no moves that Oddish learns that can affect Gengar more than Mega Drain unless I had kept Petal Dance. And I thought about it. I would have been confused. It would have been terrible. But there's nothing left to use. Unless I want to either use Solar Beam, which I just thought of right now, and that's a terrible idea. Or I can use Mimic. Now, my original idea was to mimic either Nightshade or Dream Eater from the Gengar, put them to sleep, and use whatever attack would do more damage. Unfortunately, one of the things that can happen is Agatha can swap to Golbat. And Golbat's only attack is Wing Attack, which as we know is base 35 power. So even with all 3 Swords Dance, that's not going to do enough damage to one-shot anything. Additionally, we don't outspeed any of Agatha's Pokemon, even after 3 badge boosts, and that's a bit of a problem. Because at plus 6 in attack, pretty much one hit from Confusion is going to nearly take us from full HP to knocked out. So we can't hit ourselves in Confusion, and that's a very common thing Agatha likes to do. So we've made it to the Haunter for the first time, but that's as far as we made it. So 2 Pokemon is our record. And I've been at this already for about half an hour. But if you thought, wow, this can't get any worse, yes, it can. Oh, goodness, it can. Because if you use Mimic on the same turn, Agatha decides to swap out, a glitch occurs, causing the sprite to disappear, and the move to get overwritten being the second move, Mimic still being there, and I think if I were to win the battle, I would lose that move forever, and yeah, you just have to reset. So if Agatha swaps out the turn you use Mimic, it's just over. Plus, I don't want Wing Attack permanently. It's a terrible move. So for another half hour, I keep doing attempts, and I would lose occasionally to Laura Lee due to a crit, a freeze from the Jinx. I got so many freezes from that Jinx. But I still have yet to get past the Haunter. The luck I would get was abysmal. Missing with Sleep Powder, Hypnosis hitting every time, Confuse Ray hitting myself. It was bad, guys. Finally, after 12 attempts, I get this one, and it starts out abysmally. Confuse Ray, and I hit myself not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. 4 hits in confusion, But I do put the Gengar to sleep, and the truth is it doesn't really matter because it doesn't swap out. I mimic Dream Eater, I use Dream Eater, and I'm pretty much back at full HP. Golbat comes out and uses Haze. That's the second best thing it could use. I'd rather Wing Attack, funny enough, because Haze is going to lower my stats due to a weird quirk. We're able to put it to sleep. We do use Dream Eater after setting up a Swords Dance in order to get that 15% back, although that will make Confusion a bit more risky, but them's the breaks. And we knock out Golbat in one hit, which I think the Swords Dance actually helped with that. Finally, for the first time, it doesn't go for Hypnosis or Confuse Ray. It goes for Dream Eater. I put it to sleep, use Dream Eater, and it still doesn't knock out the frickin' Haunter. It's on like 1 HP. Even though I've leveled up, you may have noticed a little bit, because of course I did. After spending half an hour, I want a little bit more of an edge. Not that it's going to make a huge difference. But yeah, great. Okay, we've made it past the Haunter. That's a new PB, which stands for Personal Best. Arbok, however, just uses Acid. I put it to sleep and use Dream Eater, and we actually should be good, because this Gengar can't do much to us. It cannot put us to sleep. Confusion would be the only thing we should worry about. Goes for Nightshade. I miss with Sleep Powder. Goes for Toxic. Of course I miss with Sleep Powder. It goes for Dream Eater. Finally, I hit with Sleep Powder. I go for Dream Eater. Stays asleep. Guys, we have made it to Lance for the first time. This has taken me, oh my god. I actually had to come back a different day to do this because I was getting so angry. I'll freely admit when my strats are a little luck-based, I was getting some unfathomably bad luck. Just the worst, craziest turns of events where I just could not get them to use anything other than Hypnosis and Confuse Ray. It was insane. So we finally make it to Lance. And Lance has only 2 Pokemon that actually can hurt me. Gyarados and Aerodactyl. Unfortunately, Gyarados is the first Pokemon, so I can't set up. But as long as it doesn't get something crazy like a critical hit Hyper Beam, we should be fine. Let's do this. All right, Gyarados. Leer is good. We miss, of course. Dragon Rage. All right, we put it to sleep. Very, very good. Now I'm going to set up some Swords Dance, and you notice I have Takedown. I bought that from the mart. I'd love to have Double Edge back, but you cannot re-get Double Edge. And the fact of the matter is we needed Mimic to beat Agatha. I wish there was another way. Takedown can miss 15% of the time, but I don't really have any other choice. After setting up 2 Swords Dance, I get nervous. I go for Takedown. Of course it misses. It stays asleep. I hit with Takedown, but I don't knock it out. Thankfully, it's still asleep, and we can knock out Gyarados. Now, here's where we can exploit the heck out of good AI. Dragonair knows Agility, a Psychic move. I'm Poison type. I can just restore all my HP, set up as many Swords Dance as I please, and the Dragon Pokemon cannot touch me. Which means as long as we get by Aerodactyl, who has Bite, Hyper Beam, Supersonic, and Takedown. So a bit of a scary moveset, but it should be fine. And after all this time, we should make it to the champion. All right, so we've made it to Aerodactyl with 149 HP. It goes for Takedown. Are you kidding me? And we miss. And we miss. And oh my god. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. This is unbelievable. Critical hits like 20% chance, 25% chance. I wasted so much time. And yes, just level up, J-Rose. Why don't you level up? Like, it's not just about trying to beat Madrybred's level 87. I know I joked in his video I could do it at a lower level, but that's not just what this is about. The luck is absurdly bad. Like, this is absurd. The chance that that combination happens is so low. Now, I don't know if I'd have beaten the champion, mind you, but I didn't even get a chance because of some of the dumbest stuff, and that's just what's been happening. Leveling up won't even help that much because we're going to get outsped by stuff like Alakazam anyway. Our speed is so low, it doesn't actually matter. What are extra levels really going to accomplish? We're using sleep strategies, so 2 hits versus 1 hit versus 3 hits, it actually isn't that big a deal at the end of the day. What we need is to outspeed Pokemon, which we can't do because we're a freaking Oddish. Now, case in point, it only took me another 4 attempts to beat Agatha again. I didn't think Agatha would be super consistent. We are relying on 75% sleep powder, but I did expect 1 in every 4 attempts to result in a victory. And at least that seems to be the case here. That's usually my threshold for when I need to level up. If I can get about 20% win rate with a bad Pokemon, that's good enough. Sometimes Pokemon are just not very good. It's just the way it is. So we've made it back to Lance, and this time can we not get the worst luck in the entire multiverse? Thanks. Alright, this time around, a little bit of a different thing happens. First off, after putting the Gyarados to sleep, I do get up all 3 Swords Dance, and I'm actually outspeeding at this point, which is really good. I then can put Gyarados back to sleep and mimic Hyper Beam. Instead of Takedown, Hyper Beam is way more powerful, and is actually a little bit more accurate. So it's just a better move to use. We can teach Takedown in the next battle, if we make it there. So once again, we are able to knock out Gyarados. We're able to knock out both Dragonair number 1 and Dragonair number 2. It all comes down to Aerodactyl. All right, Supersonic hit. Oh my God. You guys understand 50% chance? And then a 25% chance even selects that. That's a 12% chance. I hit myself in confusion, so we're down to a 6% chance. And I still have some HP left. I miss. I don't even know. What's that? A 1.7% chance. A 1.7% chance that all these things happen. And they happen. This run was cursed. It was cursed. It took another 4 attempts to get by Agatha, which to be fair is what I thought it should be using this strategy. So this is going to be our 3rd attempt versus Lance, who I actually thought was going to be an absolute total joke. All right, well, we get Dragon Rage, which is fine. We put it to sleep. We have 1, 2, 3 Swords Dance. We mimic Hyper Beam. It wakes up. That's okay. We miss. It uses Hyper Beam, of course. All right, it's fine. We miss again. All right, thankfully, on the last possible turn, we knock out Gyarados. And now we have to slowly and tediously use Mega Drain against the Dragonair because I definitely want to be at full HP for Aerodactyl. We've already seen what that thing can do to us. All right, moment of truth. It uses Bite, does not get a critical hit. I put it to sleep. I go for Mega Drain. It's doing just about half. I only have 1 Mega Drain left, so I'm just going to go for Hyper Beam. Easily knocks it out. That's how easy it should have been the first few times. Anyway, now we win. Dragonite can't do anything. I also should note that if you knock out a Pokemon with Hyper Beam, you can attack again. Not sure why that happens, but it does. Anyhow, thankfully Dragonite goes for Agility. I hit with Hyper Beam, and we have finally, for the first time in about 3 hours, made it to the champion. I do not know if we are going to win. I cannot promise that. I can promise you we will at least kind of see what we should be doing and how good of a chance we have at winning. Hopefully it's over because I'm going to tell you right now, this has been one of the least fun experiences due to bad luck. And on that note, I don't even care if we lose, just I don't want to lose due to bad luck. I'm so sick of it. All right, pretty good. Pidgeot goes for Sky Attack. We have a chance to put it... Are you freaking kidding me? All right, well, that was... Okay. You know what? Calm. It's hard to stay calm when I miss 2 sleep powders. It's just so frustrating. All right, Wing Attack's fine. Finally, it's asleep. Okay. Please don't wake up the first turn. Oh my God, I'm gonna go for Sleep Powder. Mirror moves Swords Dance, that's great. Okay, back asleep. 2 Swords Dance. Of course it wakes up quickly. I do need to outspeed here. That's 3 Swords Dance. I don't. It mirror moves Swords Dance. I need to start going for Mega Drain due to that stupid critical hit. So that's 1 Mega Drain. It wakes up after Mega Drain number 2 and Wing Attack critical. I don't have words. I don't have words. Missing all those sleeps, critical. I don't. I don't have words. I don't. All right. First things first, I want to level up so I outspeed that Pidgeot. That shouldn't be too challenging, but this is the worst. All right, so I have leveled up all the way to level 65, and I do have some rare candies left. At this level, a couple things start changing a little bit. First of all, Double Edge will one-shot Dugong. I go for Mega Drain anyway. But yeah, Double Edge knocks it out. Cloyster will now be one-shot by Mega Drain. Slowbro will be one-shot by Double Edge if I don't get a crit, which I do, but that's fine. And the best thing yet, I outspeed Jinx, who would routinely crit and freeze me. I also kind of misspoke when I said Lorelie isn't too luck-based because I was trying to put Lapras to sleep. Now I no longer need to do that. So Lorelie has become a lot more consistent, which will get more runs to Agatha. Against Bruno, I make a mistake and use Mega Drain right away, as opposed to setting up my Swords Dance. It means I need to set up against Hitmonchan, which isn't the end of the world. But then what happens is I level up in the middle of the battle, meaning I won't outspeed the Hitmonlee, which is fine, but just a little bit more annoying. I don't outspeed Onix, but it doesn't matter, and I do outspeed Machamp. And for the first time since we've leveled up, we make it back to Agatha. We still need to use Mimic strats because, I mean, of course we do. And realistically, I probably should rare candy at a different point. If I were to rare candy before, I think it would be better. But it doesn't really matter. It just cost us 1 level, so if we lose, we can do that. We're obviously going to teach Mimic still because even at our current level, we have no way of getting around that. It sucks. I wish there was a way to get around losing Double Edge, and, you know, I wish we could get it back, but we can't. So, how does Agatha look at level 71? Kinda the exact same way. We get a Dream Eater. Thankfully, we don't get a swap out. We mimic Dream Eater, and it wakes up, which is fine. We put it back to sleep. Dream Eater still doesn't one-shot, and Mega Drain doesn't do that much. I was hoping to save a Dream Eater, but it's fine. So we've knocked out Gengar 1. Golbat, we get some annoying luck where we get confused, and we still put it to sleep, but then it wakes up, and then we hit ourselves in confusion. But then it uses Haze, which gets rid of our confusion, although it also gets rid of our badge boosts, but that's fine. We're able to put it to sleep, use Dream Eater, and that's 2 down. Haunter, we thankfully get a first-term Dream Eater. We put it to sleep, we knock it out. Arbok has never been an issue, and it does swap into Gengar, which is fine. We knock out the Gengar pretty quickly, and we knock out the Arbok in 1 Dream Eater. And we have made it all the way back to Lance in our first attempt at level 71. Of course, there's a little bit of luck here, but trust me, with how frustrating this run has gone, I will take a first try. But now that we're at Lance, we know what needs to happen. We know what can go wrong. Let's just see how this goes. So Lance starts off by using Hyper Beam. I thankfully get the Sleep Powder, but it wakes up the very first turn after I use 1 Swords Dance. Here's where things change. I'm at a high enough level that I outspeed after just 1 Swords Dance and put it back to sleep. That is massive. Of course, it doesn't take Gyarados long to wake up and then use Hyper Beam, but because of those 2 Swords Dance, I actually survive on 22 HP and can get the Gyarados back to sleep. After setting up my final Swords Dance, we can do what we've done against the rival and use Mega Drain to slowly restore our HP against Gyarados, and just like in our last battle versus Lance, use Mega Drain to slowly gain HP against the Dragonair. And slowly but surely, we also need to use Mimic to make sure we have Hyper Beam. We are going to make it back to Aerodactyl. It still outspeeds, goes for Supersonic, and I don't hit myself in confusion, but I miss the Sleep Powder. We're getting the same old luck we always do. It goes for Takedown. I hit myself in confusion, which, as we know, is going to deal a ton of damage because I'm at max attack. I decide to play it safe. Why even put it to sleep? Just go for Mega Drain, and I don't know why I didn't do that before. That's my bad. I'm in a little bit of tunnel vision here. That's okay. As long as it doesn't get a crit. Oh my god. Oh, what is this run? A critical hit Hyper Beam. That was like the only thing I think that would have knocked me out. And I hate this. This is the worst. Alright, after a few more attempts, we've made it back to Lance. It starts with Hyper Beam, but not a critical hit. We put it to sleep, and we are able to set up 1 Swords Dance, 2 Swords Dance, 3 Swords Dance, and even use Mega Drain all the times we need, and we knock out Gyarados at full HP. So this time, we can actually do a far quicker strategy of just mimicking Hyper Beam and knocking out both Dragonair number 1 and Dragonair number 2. Now here comes Aerodactyl, and it goes for Hyper Beam, and oh my... Okay, it got a crit, but I still survive, and Mega Drain is not even doing half, so I did need to put it to sleep. It needs to recharge. I decide to go put it to sleep, and good thing I did, because as we can see, Mega Drain is not a 2-hit KO. Maybe Hyper Beam would have done more damage. It probably would have, now that I think about it. But whatever. You know what, man? I am so annoyed right now. I'm not even thinking straight. I'm just going to knock out the Aerodactyl right here. And eventually, we're going to knock out the Dragonite. Whether it uses barrier or not is irrelevant because it can't actually attack me. And we have made it back to the champion. We haven't actually knocked out any of his Pokemon yet, but we've made it back to the champion. And I don't really have words here. That first battle versus the champion is some of the worst luck I could have even imagined. Please, just use Sky Attack and fall asleep, or Mirror Move. You can do those things. It's a pretty high chance that I don't get attacked and have a ton of HP for Alakazam. And if I can get by Alakazam, I can restore my HP on Rhydon and Gyarados. So I see the pathway to victory. It's just about whether the game is going to let me, I don't know, cross it, pass it, whatever. Let's battle. We do get Wing Attack, but it doesn't deal all that much damage, just about a quarter, and we put it to sleep. I set up 1 Swords Dance. It's still asleep. I'm not outspeeding, though. 2 Swords Dance. Still not outspeeding, and I set up my 3rd Swords Dance. I need to outspeed here. I go for Takedown, and I did outspeed. Maybe I could have even gotten a Mega Drain in. That's okay. As long as we get some decent luck from Alakazam, this health shouldn't be a big deal. All right, we have 100 HP. Alakazam goes for Psychic, not Psybeam. We have 12 HP remaining, but we're going to knock ourselves out. Aww. It wouldn't have mattered if I used Mega Drain before. I need way more HP than I had. Way more HP. I needed at least 60 or so no Wing Attack. God. Now, I do want to explain as I battle the Elite Four again why I'm so annoyed. Because I do think there might be a question of, are you doing too many of these runs? That's not what this is. I have ideas in my head of strategies that should work, and sometimes I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm actually wrong here that this strategy should work. I'm just getting really bad luck. Consider there was a 33% chance Pidgeot didn't attack me. We got attacked. We did thankfully hit with Takedown, but like, this has been the entire run. And every time I lose, it's not like I just get back to Lance instantly. This is why saving between the Elite Four would completely change the complexion of these runs. Because if I could just save in front of every member, I wouldn't need a consistent strategy. I would just need a strategy that could work once, and there are many really dumb strategies relying on Generation 1 misses, critical hits, etc. that are extremely unlikely, but if you keep playing the battle over and over again, you're eventually going to get it, and that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about whether this Pokemon is actually good. Normally I'd level up, but as you're seeing, leveling up's not making a huge difference. I mean, we did outspeed Pidgeot, so we've leveled up to a point that I'd like, but we need to get to like level 98 to outspeed Alakazam. It's just not going to happen. So sometimes you just have to accept that leveling up isn't a solution. You need to use whatever moves you have to the best of your abilities, and I'm trying. And I've gotten more consistent at Lorelee, and I've gotten more consistent in Bruno. Unfortunately, Agatha is just inherently lucky. There's nothing you can do because Oddish's move pool is so terrible. The best strat is to rely on Sleep Powder and Dream Eater, and of course, we can miss with Sleep Powder, they can wake up and miss a Dream Eater, and we don't outspeed. It is extremely, extremely frustrating. And then finally, we make it back to Lance, and we've already seen what can go wrong with Lance. It's not even that luck-based, and yes, Aerodactyl can critical hit a lot. We're still only talking about 1 in 4 chance of that happening, and it still should be fine. And yet, I seem to get all the worst luck all the time. But of course, as you guys are seeing, this time the luck works in our favor, and this was not my first attempt after that last loss. I think it was my 10th. And that was all to try and get past Agatha. The first time we do, we actually get past Lance again. And can we beat our personal best and get by the Alakazam without fainting? There's only one way to find out. Unfortunately, just like last time, it uses Wing Attack right off the bat. As we know, this is going to be a problem because we're not going to have enough HP to knock out both these Pokemon with Takedown. But at least Pidgeot's asleep. But I was kind of curious how much Mega Drain would restore. I thought I was going to lose this anyway. And as it turns out, I actually came very close to losing it because I did that. But thankfully, the Pidgeot's pretty cooperative and wakes up just as I get off the final Swords Dance. And I do get the luck I need, put Pidgeot back to sleep, and I can restore my HP with Mega Drain. But why stop there? If Pidgeot's going to stay asleep, I might be able to get past Pidgeot at full HP. I'm getting pretty lucky, and as it turns out, I am able to get past Pidgeot with full HP. So if Alakazam doesn't crit, we should have a new record here. It goes for Psybeam, no crit, no confusion. We hit. There's a 15% chance we missed. We do have a couple opportunities, but that was huge. And we have plenty of HP. I'm very pleased with this. Rhydon's obviously going to be a 1-hit KO with Mega Drain. The question is, will I restore all my HP? I do. This is huge, guys. This might be it. Executor can be very trolly with Hypnosis, which it'll spam because it's a psychic move. I put it to sleep first. I don't want to deal with Executor. I have plenty of health. I'm just going to use Takedown since I know it can miss. It doesn't. And we just have 2 Pokemon remaining. Unfortunately, tragedy just struck. We leveled up. And that means we're not going to outspeed Gyarados. It thankfully goes for Dragon Rage. But our special boost is done. This was not what I wanted to see. We put it to sleep, but it wakes up immediately after I use Mega Drain. It goes for Leer, and I miss with sleep. It goes for Dragon Rage again, and I'm able to put it to sleep. You can see Mega Drain does a little bit more damage, and we're restoring our HP. Thankfully, it's staying asleep, and I will be able to knock out Gyarados. I'm not at full HP, mind you, but I didn't have to use Takedown, and now it all comes down to this. Does Charizard one-shot me? It goes for Fire Spin and hits. That's a 30% chance. That's what I wanted. Please miss. I win. All right, 2 turns. Again, Fire Spin. It's not missing. It's not missing. It keeps going, and it just won't miss. It just won't miss. It just won't miss. Oh, I don't have words, guys. 70% chance. How many Fire Spins did it use? 5? I got a 16% chance that it hit every single turn. I think it used 6. I think it was worse than... It doesn't matter. This run is the worst thing I've ever done. It's not Oddish's fault. The game just hates me today. With that said, I did learn something, and it will help me. I'm going to level up in the middle unless I save a rare candy. So that's exactly what I plan on doing. I don't think 1 level is going to fundamentally change the way the Elite Four are going to work, since the biggest obstacle remains Agatha, who's lucky anyway. If we level up after we beat Lance using the rare candy, we should have enough leeway to outspeed the Charizard and be able to knock it out with Takedown. If we were able to outspeed it, that would be it, and we would have won, assuming we don't miss with Takedown, which is also a 15% chance, and you guys know how those have been great for us lately. But it does get very tedious to play these same battles over and over and over again. And I have shown you every single attempt that has made it past Agatha. There aren't that many of them. And it's frustrating. Like, yes, Laurelie and Bruno at this point are pretty predictable. But just again and again and again, it's mind-numbing. And thank God I can watch Twitch streamers and just relax, because otherwise I would be losing my mind. And that's a big reason I don't stream these challenges live. I need the ability to just kind of space out, let the run happen. And yeah, sometimes that results in misclicks. Normally for these runs, I'm not doing that. But when it comes to a run that's just luck-based or tedious, or something where I feel like the game is just being unfair, what am I going to do? I have the strategy against the first 4 trainers memorized. There's not much I can do. There's not even much I need to adapt, to be honest, unless Agatha swaps in her Golbat, in which case I have to rely on wing attack strats, which I believe I've already shown you in one of these attempts, and it did result in a win. So it's still possible. Anyway, we've made it back to the champion. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I don't win, I'm done. I'm done. I can't. Madrybread, you win. You beat it at level 87. I didn't finish. I'm not doing this. This has been the worst thing. We should have won a long time ago. Obviously, you guys know that's a bald-faced lie. I'll keep trying until I win, but I want to give up. Look at that! Mirror move turn 1. Who thought that was a possibility? All right, we put Pidgeot to sleep. Of course, it wakes up right away, but what can you do? It goes for Sky Attack. That's bad, but at least I can put it to sleep. It will use it, though, the turn it wakes up. So that's amazing. All right, second Swords Dance, and I have leveled up a little bit, so I have the third Swords Dance. I'm already outspeeding. This is a good sign. I have more than enough HP for Alakazam. I'm just going to use Takedown. Thankfully, I hit and I knock it out. Please, no critical hit. We get Psybeam. No crit. We hit. We knock it out. Yes! 48 HP to spare. That means we're not going to restore everything when we use Mega Drain against Rhydon, but we'll still have plenty of HP. Honestly, I don't want to chance it with using Sleep Powder. It's less accurate than Takedown. I'm just going to use Takedown, and look at that. If I'm not going to use Mega Drain, which I don't plan to do, there's no point putting a Pokemon to sleep. With that said, I do need to restore HP for Charizard, so I'm going to put Gyarados to sleep, and it works. 1 Mega Drain, it stays asleep. 2 Mega Drains, it stays asleep. 3 Mega Drains, I thought I'd knock it out. I don't, but that's okay. I'm at full HP for Charizard. We don't level up. This is it, guys. Please outspeed, we win. Please outspeed, we win. We don't outspeed Fire Spin. It misses! We miss! It misses again! We hit! Yes! I hate this! Oh, God, get me out of here. Oh, wow. This was... Guys, this was a nightmare. Wow. Like, I don't know what to say. You know what? Looking back, I will say I should have swapped the order. I used Double Edge and Takedown, using Takedown for most of the run and having Double Edge for the end. But whatever, guys. I'm done. I'm so done. I don't even know how to rank this thing, to be honest with you. I do have a separate tier list for just the pre-evolved Pokemon, since initially that's what we were going to do. And I think it's between tiers 4 and 5. Here's the thing. It was at a much lower level than Charmander, but a similar time. But in terms of how frustrating it was and how many times it got stuck, it was more similar to Geodude or Squirtle. And I probably could have leveled up a little bit more. And for that reason, albeit maybe you guys will find this controversial, I'm going to put it just above Geodude in that tier. I feel like I might have been able to level up a bit more, and that maybe 72 was me trying a little bit too hard to make it work, or the fact that, to be honest, it really wouldn't have mattered that much. Although maybe we could have outsped Charizard, so I think that's fair. I think I beat this a little earlier than I otherwise should have. And I'm done. I have no more words. Thank you guys for watching. For the record, I love this job. I love making these videos. This run just sucked. And we'll have more. And this one was really long. So thank you guys for watching. Take care.